The S&P 500 climbed to a record high, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, well, its second highest close ever. This after a late surge when the Federal Reserve announced intentions to put caps on how much accommodation, by the way, that's Wall Street speak for free money, that it's going to allow to run off its balance sheets. Essentially, the way it works is that when assets that they have on their balance sheets are paid off, they're not going to automatically reinvest those funds, but they have promised to be, quote, gradual and predictable. In other words, Janet's not going to mess everything up. This, of course, is great news in the sense that the Fed has confidence in this economy, which, by the way, continues to grow at a much faster pace than the media will ever admit. In fact, case in point, Steiner Research says that household incomes in America are surging this year. In April, household incomes increased by almost $600 to $59,361. That's up 1% month over month, 2% for the year. And if it doesn't sound like a lot, put it this way. It's the highest level since February of 2002. In fact, the pace actually exceeds the average of 1.7 that occurred over the entire President Obama recovery. So already in 3 months, we've done that. The market's higher, wages are climbing, and yet there is still a sense of woe, and it was reflected in the anemic volume in the market today. And I'm telling you folks who keep asking me, should they sell? The answer is no, you should be buying. In fact, I really want you to have exposure to industrial and materials. I keep talking about WestRock. I love WestRock. I let the materials higher. Here's a man who knows a little bit about Wall Street and Washington, Steve Cortes, and the hizzy.
Yes, good to be here.
Good to have you here.
In the hizzy.
The economy, to me, is really is so much better than you could imagine from headlines, and yet and I think it's starting to have a negative effect on average people who are reluctant to invest in the market now.
Charles, I couldn't concur more. I think part of this Trump derangement syndrome, which is out there, and it's prevalent in the mainstream media, is that anything that might even give an ounce of credit to Donald Trump, they don't want to talk about. And part of that's the economy. Corporate earnings, and we were in a corporate earning recession. Corporate earnings are expanding. We've had a fantastic earnings season. Consumer confidence is soaring, 17-year highs. CEO surveys at all-time highs. Small business surveys. Stock market obviously doing incredibly well. The optimism out there right now, the belief is palpable. And I think this is important. And I think Trump's proposals are incredibly important. But I think just as important are the intangibles, because economies often operate on confidence, on belief, right? You hire, you invest, you spend when you believe. People believe right now, no matter what the mainstream media wants us
that
to
creates think. the so-called virtuous cycle, and success begets success, and we know that's what the Fed tried to do artificially. It didn't work. But having said that, even when I look at something like today, the existing home sales number came in less than expected. But when you look at the details, one of our problems is the legacy of the last 8 years. We don't have enough home builders out there. You know, I had the CEO of D.R. Horton. He came to my office. He says, middle-aged folks who might have done this job in the last 8 years and did other things, they're missing. They're missing. So we can actually, it creates opportunity, but it also shows just how badly our economy was in shape.
Right. No, you're right. A decade of slow growth. And I really believe this, Charles, even outside of the markets, I mean, which is where you and I live, but even outside of the markets, the consequences, the bad consequences of slow growth, I think are enormous. Societally, politically, in terms of the divisiveness of our country, I think faster growth is going to heal a lot of wounds, but it won't be easy, because you're exactly right. And I'm glad you brought up that issue of skilled manual labor. My gosh, our educational system has so failed a lot of young people in this country who would have been so much better off learning a trade rather than getting maybe a somewhat worthless social sciences degree and a whole lot of debt and are now working at Starbucks and living in their parents' basement.
Well, there's talk of us adopting more of the German system, which has always been great at churning out folks who can do those kind of jobs. Hence, that's why they've always been something of a vocational juggernaut.